I told my mom I was excited for my sister's wedding next month, and she looked me dead in the eye and said, "She got married yesterday." Those 6 words destroyed everything I thought I knew about my family in less than 5 seconds. I'm Nicole, 29 years old, and I just discovered that my entire family conspired to exclude me from my own sister's wedding by giving me a fake invitation with the wrong date. Let me tell you exactly how I found out and what I did about it, because this story gets wild. It started on a Sunday morning in Portland, Oregon, at my parents' house where I'd driven 3 hours from Seattle to visit. I walked into the kitchen smiling, holding my coffee, thinking about how perfect next month was going to be when Emma finally married Tyler. "Mom, I'm so excited for my sister's wedding next month," I said, practically glowing with happiness about being her maid of honor. "I can't wait to give my speech and see her walk down that aisle." My mom froze at the kitchen sink, her hands going completely still in the soapy water like someone hit pause on her entire body. She didn't turn around, didn't look at me, and the silence that followed felt like it lasted forever, even though it was probably only 10 seconds. When she finally spoke, her voice came out flat and emotionless, like she was reading words off a script she'd been dreading. "Nicole, honey, she got married yesterday." The world tilted sideways, and I had to grip the counter to keep from falling as my brain tried to process what she just said. Yesterday? How could Emma have gotten married yesterday when the invitation pinned to my refrigerator back home clearly says next month, Saturday the 23rd at 2 o'clock at Riverside Gardens? I'd been planning everything around that date for 6 months, bought an expensive dress, organized the bridal shower, spent thousands of dollars on gifts. "What do you mean she got married yesterday?" I asked, my voice shaking as anger and confusion crashed through me like a tidal wave. Mom finally turned around, and the guilt plastered all over her face told me everything I needed to know before she even opened her mouth again. My own mother, the woman who raised me, who taught me about honesty and family loyalty, just admitted they deliberately lied to keep me away from my sister's wedding. I think about the bridal shower I hosted, the thousands of dollars I've spent on gifts and my dress and the bachelorette party weekend in Vegas. I think about every conversation over the past 6 months where I talked about how excited I was, and nobody told me the truth. But what hits me hardest is the realization that this wasn't a mistake. This was a coordinated effort by my entire family to exclude me. That night, I'm sitting alone in my Seattle apartment, staring at the wedding invitation that's been mocking me from my refrigerator for months. The elegant calligraphy seems to laugh at me now, each swirling letter a reminder of how completely my family fooled me. I grab the invitation and study every detail. The fake date printed in beautiful script, the venue information, all of it carefully crafted to keep me away. My hands are shaking as I realize the level of planning that went into this deception. My mind spirals back through the years, piecing together a pattern I was too blind to see before. 4 years ago, Emma called me at 2 in the morning, sobbing because her graphic design startup was drowning in debt. She owed nearly $15,000 to vendors and couldn't make payroll for her 3 employees. "Nicole, I'll lose everything," she cried into the phone. "I promise I'll pay you back every cent." I transferred the money the next morning without hesitation, draining my emergency savings account. She never mentioned it again, not even a thank you card. Then there was the situation with Mom and Dad's house in the suburbs. 3 years back, their Portland home needed major repairs after a brutal winter damaged the foundation and roof. They were looking at $45,000 in costs, and Dad's voice cracked when he called me. "We might have to sell, Nicole," he said, sounding defeated. I took out a personal loan and covered the entire amount, thinking I was securing their retirement and our family home. They threw a big 4th of July party that summer and didn't invite me, saying I was probably too busy with my consulting job. Every holiday, every family gathering, I was either forgotten or given last-minute invitations that made it impossible to attend. Last Thanksgiving, I drove 4 hours to their house only to find it completely dark and empty. Emma texted me an hour later saying, "Oh, we decided to do dinner at Aunt Carol's this year, thought someone told you." I sat in my car in their driveway for 20 minutes, feeling like a stranger trying to crash a party. The pattern was there all along, I just refused to see it because admitting it would mean accepting that my own family didn't want me around. My phone buzzes, and I see it's my cousin Rachel Martinez calling. She's 35, works as an investigative journalist for the Seattle Times, and has always been honest with me even when the truth hurts. "Nicole, I heard what happened," she says, her voice tight with anger. "I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it." I grip the phone tighter, bracing myself. "Emma specifically requested you not be there. She told everyone you'd make the wedding about yourself, that your success would overshadow her special day." The words hit me like a physical punch to the stomach. Rachel continues, her voice softer now. Your mom agreed with her. They planned the fake invitation 3 months in advance. Nicole, they had meetings about how to keep you away without you finding out until it was too late. I close my eyes, feeling tears burn behind my eyelids. My own sister, the one I bailed out of financial ruin, thought I was so self-centered that she orchestrated an elaborate lie. And my mother, who I trusted more than anyone, helped her do it. But something else is building inside me now. Something harder and colder than grief. The next morning, I'm standing on my parents' porch in Portland, my finger pressed hard against the doorbell. I barely slept last night, Rachel's words echoing in my head on repeat. They had meetings about excluding me. They planned this for months. I'm not here to cry or beg for explanations. I'm here to make them look me in the eye and own what they did. The anger burning in my chest feels like rocket fuel, propelling me forward when every instinct tells me to run away and never look back. Dad opens the door, his reading glasses perched on his nose, looking confused. Nicole, what are you doing here so early? He asks, glancing at his watch. It's 7:30 on a Monday morning, and I know I'm interrupting their peaceful breakfast routine. I push past him into the living room where Mom and Emma are sitting on the couch, coffee cups in hand, looking through what I assume are wedding photos. Emma's face goes pale when she sees me, and Mom sets her cup down with a trembling hand. Why did you lie to me about the wedding date? I ask, my voice eerily calm despite the storm raging inside me. The question hangs in the air like smoke, and nobody moves. Emma looks at Mom looks at Dad, and Dad suddenly finds the carpet fascinating. I want to hear it from your mouths, I continue, crossing my arms. Tell me why you thought it was okay to deliberately exclude me from my own sister's wedding after everything I've done for this family. Emma stands up, and I see something in her expression that makes my blood run cold. It's not guilt or remorse, it's defiance. Fine, you want the truth? She says, her voice sharp. I didn't want you there because you always have to be the center of attention. Your fancy consulting job, your expensive apartment in Seattle, your perfect life. It was supposed to be my day, Nicole. Not another opportunity for you to show off how successful you are. Her words are like acid, burning away any hope I had that this was somehow a misunderstanding. Mom jumps in, trying to smooth things over with that placating tone she always uses. Emma's right, Nicole. You have to understand, you make us all feel inadequate. Your sister deserved to shine without living in your shadow. We thought it would be easier this way, less drama. I stare at her, genuinely shocked. Less drama? They created an elaborate deception, involved the entire family, and somehow I'm the problem because I worked hard and built a successful career? Dad finally speaks up, his voice quiet. It's complicated, Nicole, but it's not complicated at all. It's actually crystal clear. They resent my success, my independence, the fact that I don't need them the way they've needed me. Every dollar I gave them, every crisis I solved, every time I showed up when they called, it all meant nothing. I was useful when they needed money or help, but toxic when they wanted to celebrate. I look at Emma, really look at her, and see the sister I thought I knew has been replaced by someone I don't recognize. Someone who took my money, my time, my love, and repaid me with betrayal. And what makes it worse is that nobody in this room thinks they did anything wrong. I pull out my phone and open my banking app, scrolling through years of transactions while they watch me nervously. Let me remind you all of something, I say, my voice steady and cold. 4 years ago, Emma, I gave you $15,000 when your business was failing. 3 years ago, I paid $45,000 for the foundation and roof repairs on this house. Last year alone, I sent Mom $3,200 for her medical bills. Should I keep going? The numbers hang in the air like accusations, and Emma's defiant expression starts to crack. Dad shifts uncomfortably, clearing his throat. We're grateful for all that, Nicole, but money doesn't buy you a place at every family event. His words are so absurd I almost laugh. I wasn't trying to buy anything. I was being a daughter, a sister, someone who shows up for family. You're right, Dad, I say quietly. Money doesn't buy love or loyalty or basic human decency. But apparently, I was the only one who didn't get that memo. Mom reaches toward me, her eyes filling with tears. Nicole, please don't make this bigger than it is. We're still family. Emma got caught up in wedding stress, that's all. But I step back, away from her touch. Wedding stress doesn't explain months of planning, forged invitations, coordinated lies. Tell me something, Mom, I say, looking directly at her. When Emma asked you to help lie to me, did you hesitate even for a second? Or was it easy because you've been doing it for years? The silence that follows is deafening. I can see the truth in Mom's face, the way she can't meet my eyes. Emma sits back down, her hands twisting in her lap. We thought you wouldn't notice until it was too late, she admits finally, her voice small. We figured you'd be upset for a while, but you'd get over it. You always do. That's what really breaks something inside me. They didn't just lie. They calculated exactly how much they could hurt me and get away with it. I turn to leave, but Emma's voice stops me. Where are you going? She asks. And I hear something new in her tone now. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. I look back at all three of them. These people who share my DNA but clearly don't share my values. I'm done, I say simply. Done being your emergency contact, your backup plan, your ATM machine. You wanted me out of your lives? Congratulations, you got your wish. Mom starts to protest, but I hold up my hand. Here's what's going to happen, I continue, my voice calm but firm. I'm calling my lawyer today. Every loan, every gift, every dollar I've given this family, we're going to review it all. Emma, that $15,000? You signed a promissory note, remember? Time to pay up. Mom and Dad, that house repair money? I have documentation showing it was a loan, not a gift. I want it back. Their faces drain of color, and I feel a grim satisfaction watching reality hit them. Emma jumps up, panic replacing her earlier defiance. You can't be serious. That was years ago. I don't have $15,000 just lying around. Her voice rises to a near shriek. My business is barely breaking even. I nod slowly, letting her words sink in. I know. That's the same business I saved, isn't it? The one that would have gone bankrupt without my money? Tell me, Emma, did your husband know you owed me $15,000 when he married you yesterday? Dad finally finds his voice, standing up and trying to assert some paternal authority. Nicole, this is ridiculous. You can't just demand money back from your family. That's not how families work. But I laugh, a bitter sound that surprises even me. You're absolutely right, Dad. Families don't work that way. But we're not acting like a family, are we? Families don't lie and exclude and manipulate. So if we're going to pretend money is the only thing connecting us, let's make it official. Mom is crying now, real tears streaming down her face. We made a mistake, Nicole. A terrible mistake. But don't destroy this family over one bad decision. I shake my head, feeling something hard and protective settle around my heart. You destroyed this family the moment you chose to lie to me. I'm just making sure you can't use me anymore. My lawyer's name is Jennifer Brooks. Expect to hear from her this week. I walk toward the door, and nobody tries to stop me this time. As I reach for the handle, Emma calls out one last time. What about the wedding gifts? The expensive blender and the crystal you bought us? I don't even turn around. Keep them. Consider them a parting gift from the sister you never wanted. 3 days later, I'm sitting in Jennifer Brooks' law office in downtown Seattle, surrounded by papers documenting years of financial transactions with my family. Jennifer is 41, sharp as a knife, with a reputation for winning cases that seem impossible. She's been my lawyer for 5 years, handling my business contracts, and now she's helping me untangle myself from the mess that is my family. This is more straightforward than you think, she says, tapping a folder with her pen. You have documentation for everything. She spreads out the papers across her massive oak desk. The $15,000 to Emma, you have the promissory note she signed. The $45,000 for your parents' house, you structured it as a loan with their signatures. Even the medical bills, you have a written agreement that they'd repay you. Nicole, you protected yourself legally, even when you trusted them emotionally. Her words should make me feel vindicated, but instead, I feel sad. What does it say about me that even while helping my family, some part of me knew to document everything? My phone has been blowing up for 3 days straight. Text messages from Mom begging me to reconsider, voicemails from Emma crying and apologizing. Even my dad sent an email saying I'm being unreasonable. But the one that really gets me is from Emma's new husband, Tyler Chen. He's 31, works in finance, and I actually liked him the few times we met. Nicole, I had no idea about any of this, his text reads. Emma told me you were traveling for work and couldn't make the wedding. I'm so sorry. Jennifer notices me staring at my phone. Family reaching out? She asks, and I nod. They're panicking because they're realizing actions have consequences. Your sister just got married, probably has wedding expenses, and now she's looking at a $15,000 debt. Your parents are retired, living on fixed income, facing a $45,000 loan repayment. The reality is setting in. She's not wrong. I know their finances better than they do, and I know they can't afford to pay me back. That's exactly the point. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you forgive and forget, or would you stand your ground? Drop a comment below, because this story is about to take a turn nobody saw coming. Not even me. Jennifer slides another folder across her desk, and the label on it makes my stomach drop. It says property deed, coastal property, Cannon Beach, Oregon. I look up at her confused. What's this? She smiles, but it's not a happy smile. Nicole, do you remember 8 years ago when your parents were about to lose their vacation house in Cannon Beach? You bought it to save them from foreclosure. The deed is in your name. Legally, you own that house. I stare at the property deed like it's written in a foreign language. 8 years ago feels like another lifetime, back when I was 21 and just starting my career. Mom called me hysterical, saying they were 3 months behind on mortgage payments for their beach house. We'll lose our retirement dream, Nicole, Dad had said, his voice breaking. I liquidated my entire college fund remainder, took out a small business loan, and came up with $230,000 to buy the property outright. The plan was always that they'd live there. I forgot this was in my name, I admit to Jennifer, feeling stupid. She shakes her head firmly. That's because you trusted them to treat it like theirs. But legally, Nicole, it's your property. You pay the property taxes every year, you cover the insurance, and according to my research, they've been renting it out on vacation rental sites for the past 3 years. My head snaps up. They've been renting it out? Jennifer nods, pulling up a laptop and turning it toward me. There's my family's beach house listed on multiple vacation rental platforms, going for $350 per night. Based on the booking calendar, they're making roughly $6,000 to $7,000 a month during peak season, Jennifer explains, her voice clinical and detached. That's $70,000 to $80,000 a year in rental income from a property you own, pay taxes on, and maintain. Nicole, they've been profiting off your investment while cutting you out of their lives. The numbers make me dizzy. For 3 years, while they were excluding me from holidays and lying about weddings, they were making money off my property. Money they never mentioned, never offered to share, never even thanked me for making possible. I think about every time I paid the annual property tax bill, $12,000 that I just automatically covered because that's what family does. I remember getting invoices for roof repairs, plumbing issues, new appliances, always paying without question because I thought I was helping maintain their retirement home. Can I evict them? I ask Jennifer quietly. She meets my eyes with a serious expression. You can. You're the legal owner. They're essentially squatters, albeit ones you've allowed to stay. But Nicole, this will blow up your family permanently. There's no coming back from this. My family blew up the moment they forged that wedding invitation, I say, surprised by how calm I feel. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. Jennifer nods, already pulling out paperwork. I'll draft an eviction notice. Oregon law requires 30 days. They'll have to vacate the property and cease all rental operations immediately. She pauses, pen hovering over paper. What do you want to do with the rental income they've already collected? I think for a moment. I want an accounting of every dollar they've made, and I want it back. All of it. The eviction notice arrives at my parents' Cannon Beach house via certified mail on a Tuesday morning. I know this because Mom calls me approximately 15 minutes after signing for it, her voice shrill with panic. Nicole, what is this? You're evicting us from our own home? She's screaming so loud I have to hold the phone away from my ear. It's my home, Mom, I say quietly. And you've been running a business out of it without telling me, keeping all the profits while I paid all the expenses. The line goes silent for a long moment. When Mom speaks again, her voice has changed, gone cold and calculated. So this is about money? Everything we've built as a family, you're throwing it away over money? The irony is so thick I could choke on it. No, Mom. You threw away our family when you helped Emma lie to me. The money is just me protecting myself from being used anymore. You have 30 days to vacate the property and provide a full accounting of all rental income you've collected. Within an hour, my phone explodes. Emma calls 5 times before I block her number. Dad sends a long email about how disappointed he is in me, how I'm destroying the family over pride. Tyler, Emma's husband, texts asking if we can meet to talk this through rationally. But the one that actually makes me pause is from Rachel, my cousin. Nicole, your parents are telling everyone you've gone crazy. They're playing the victim card hard. People in the family are taking sides. This is getting ugly fast. I meet Rachel for coffee that afternoon at a small cafe in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. She's wearing her journalist uniform, blazer and jeans, her recorder visible in her bag because she's always ready for a story. They're saying you're mentally unstable, Rachel tells me bluntly, that the stress of your job has made you paranoid and vengeful. Emma is posting on social media about how hurt she is that her sister is trying to make her homeless. The manipulation is impressive in its audacity. Let them talk, I say, but Rachel shakes her head. Nicole, they're convincing people. Your Aunt Carol, Uncle James, even some of the cousins think you're overreacting. They're saying one mistake doesn't justify destroying your parents' retirement. I lean back in my chair, processing this. My family isn't just defending themselves, they're going on the offensive, painting me as the villain. Do you have the rental income records? Rachel asks, and I nod, sliding my laptop across the table. She scrolls through the documentation Jennifer compiled, her eyes widening. They made over $220,000 in 3 years off your property? Rachel's journalist instincts kick into high gear as she studies the financial records. Nicole, this is fraud, she says, her voice low and serious. They've been operating a business using your property, collecting income, and never declaring you as the owner. This isn't just a family dispute. This is potentially illegal. She's already making notes, her professional mask sliding into place. If you wanted to, you could report them for tax evasion. I doubt they've been properly reporting this rental income to the IRS. The thought hadn't even occurred to me, but now it sits heavy in my chest. I don't want to destroy my parents. I just want them to acknowledge what they did and stop using me. I'm not trying to ruin their lives, I tell Rachel quietly. I just want them out of my house and to stop pretending they're victims. She nods, understanding, but closes my laptop and pushes it back to me with purpose. Then you need to control the narrative before they do. Your family is painting you as a vindictive daughter. You need to show people the truth. That evening, my phone rings with a number I don't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answer. Nicole? It's Tyler. Emma's husband sounds exhausted. Please, can we meet? Just you and me. No Emma, no parents. Just talk person to person. Something in his voice makes me agree. We meet at a diner near my apartment, one of those 24-hour places with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like regret. Tyler looks terrible, like he hasn't slept in days. Emma lied to me about everything, he says before I even sit down. The debt she owed you, the rental income from the beach house, all of it. I thought we were starting our marriage with honesty, but I just found out my wife is $250,000 in debt when I include what she owes you and what her parents owe you. He runs his hands through his hair, frustrated. Nicole, I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to let me understand what really happened. So I tell him everything. The years of being excluded, the fake wedding invitation, the money I poured into the family only to be treated like an inconvenience. Tyler listens without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each revelation. She told me you were jealous of her success, he says finally, that you couldn't handle her getting married before you. That's why she said you weren't at the wedding. The lies are so elaborate, so carefully constructed, that I almost admire the effort it took to maintain them. Tyler, I'm not trying to destroy your marriage, I tell him honestly. But I'm done being my family's safety net when they treat me like garbage. That beach house is mine. I've been paying for it, maintaining it, while they profit off it. I want what's legally mine, and I want them to face the consequences of their choices. He nods slowly, pulling out his phone and showing me something that makes my blood run cold. It's Emma's private social media account, the one she thinks I can't see. Post after post about her psycho sister trying to ruin her happiness. About how success made me forget where I came from. About how family means nothing to me anymore. She's turned your entire family against you, Tyler says quietly, scrolling through more posts. Cousins, aunts, uncles, they're all commenting support for Emma. Nobody knows your side because you haven't said anything publicly. He's right. I've been handling this privately, through lawyers and direct confrontations, while Emma has been waging a social media war. I married someone I don't even know, Tyler adds, his voice hollow. In 3 days of marriage, I've discovered my wife is a liar, a manipulator, and a thief. I feel an unexpected surge of sympathy for him. Tyler didn't sign up for this mess. He fell in love with the version of Emma she showed him, not the person who could orchestrate keeping her own sister from her wedding. What are you going to do? I ask him. He's quiet for a long time, staring into his coffee cup like it holds answers. I don't know yet. But Nicole, you should know Emma and your parents are planning something. I overheard them on the phone yesterday. They're talking about fighting the eviction, claiming you verbally gifted them the house. My lawyer Jennifer warned me about this possibility. Let them try, I say, feeling that cold determination settle over me again. I have every document, every receipt, every piece of paper proving I own that house. If they want to lie in court, they'll just dig themselves deeper. Tyler nods, then slides a USB drive across the table. This has recordings of conversations between Emma and your mom planning the fake wedding invitation. I recorded them without Emma knowing when I started suspecting something was wrong. I thought maybe I was crazy, that I was misunderstanding. But you deserve to have evidence. I stare at the USB drive like it's a grenade. Evidence of their premeditation, their deliberate cruelty, recorded in their own voices. Why are you giving this to me? I ask. Tyler meets my eyes, and I see genuine pain there. Because it's the right thing to do. Because Emma had no problem lying to me about you, which means she'll have no problem lying to me about other things. Because I believe in accountability, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. He stands up, leaving money for his untouched coffee. For what it's worth, Nicole, you deserve better than the family you got. After Tyler leaves, I sit alone in that diner booth for another hour, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket. I think about all the family dinners I missed, all the holidays I spent alone because I wasn't invited. I think about Emma's face when I showed up at the house after discovering the wedding was over. That mixture of guilt and annoyance, like I was ruining things just by existing. I think about Mom's tears, which I now realize were never about hurting me, but about getting caught. My phone buzzes with a text from Jennifer. Your parents filed a countersuit claiming adverse possession of the beach house. They're arguing they've lived there long enough to claim ownership rights. We need to meet tomorrow. I smile grimly, typing back my response. I have new evidence. Audio recordings of them planning the wedding deception. When can we meet? The law is clear, but now I have something better. I have their own voices condemning them. They wanted to play games with lawyers and courts? Fine, let's play. But they're about to learn I don't lose games, I'm determined to win. Jennifer's office the next morning feels different, charged with an energy that wasn't there before. She listens to the recordings Tyler gave me, her expression shifting from professional neutrality to barely contained anger. Emma's voice comes through crystal clear on the audio. Mom, we have to make sure Nicole doesn't find out about the real date until it's too late. She'll make a scene, try to come anyway, and I can't deal with her overshadowing everything. Mom's voice responds, equally clear. Don't worry, sweetie, the invitation looks perfect. She'll never suspect. This is gold, Jennifer says, stopping the recording. Not just for the property dispute, but this shows a pattern of deliberate deception and manipulation. Combined with the financial documentation of the rental income they failed to disclose, we have them cornered. She leans back in her chair, steepling her fingers. Nicole, they can't win this case. Their adverse possession claim requires honest occupation, good faith belief they owned the property. These recordings prove they knew all along the house was yours. But I'm not feeling victorious. I'm feeling tired. What happens to them if we present all this in court? I ask. Jennifer's expression softens slightly. Emma could face fraud charges if you push it. Your parents will lose any claim to the house, will be liable for back rent and all the rental income they collected. If you pursue it fully, they could lose everything. Bankruptcy, criminal charges for the unreported income, potential jail time depending on how hard the prosecutor wants to go. The weight of that reality sits heavy on my shoulders. I have the power to destroy my family completely, legally, definitively. Part of me, the hurt, angry part, wants to watch them face consequences for every lie, every manipulation, every time they made me feel like I wasn't good enough to be included. But another part, the part that's exhausted from carrying this burden, just wants it to be over. What are my options? I ask quietly. Jennifer pulls out a legal pad and starts writing. Option 1, full prosecution. We present everything, push for maximum damages, criminal referrals for tax evasion and fraud. Your family faces serious legal and financial consequences, but you'll likely never speak to them again. Option 2, settlement. They vacate the house, return a portion of the rental income, sign documents acknowledging all debts owed to you, and you agree not to pursue criminal charges. You get your property back and some financial compensation, but they avoid jail time and bankruptcy. I take the legal pad from Jennifer and stare at the two options. Neither feels right. Option 1 is scorched earth, mutually assured destruction of any family ties that might somehow still exist. Option 2 feels like letting them off easy, allowing them to avoid full accountability. Is there an option 3? I ask. Jennifer raises an eyebrow. What did you have in mind? I think for a moment, feeling my way through the anger and hurt to something resembling clarity. I want the house back, obviously, and I want full accounting and repayment of the rental income. That's not negotiable. Jennifer nods, writing. I also want them to publicly acknowledge what they did, not on social media, but to the family members who they've been lying to about me. They need to tell the truth about the wedding, the property, all of it. Jennifer's pen pauses. That's harder to enforce legally. but we can make it a condition of settlement. And finally, I continue, my voice steady, I want them to get financial counseling and agree to never ask me for money again. I'm not cutting them off completely, but the relationship has to be rebuilt on honesty, if it can be rebuilt at all. No more bailouts, no more being their emergency fund, no more treating me like a resource instead of a person. Jennifer finishes writing and looks up at me. This is actually more ruthless than option 1 in some ways. You're forcing them to face exactly what they did and change their behavior. Most people would rather face court than genuine accountability. Before I can respond, my phone rings. It's Rachel. Nicole, your family just showed up at my apartment. They want me to convince you to drop everything. Your mom is crying, your dad looks like he aged 10 years, and Emma is pregnant. The last word hits me like a truck. Pregnant. My sister is going to have a baby, and I'm in the middle of potentially destroying her life. How pregnant? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. She says 8 weeks. The timeline clicks in my head. Emma got married knowing she was pregnant, kept me away from the wedding while carrying my future niece or nephew. They're using the pregnancy to guilt me, I say to Rachel. I know, Rachel responds. But Nicole, Emma is genuinely scared. She's crying about losing the house, about Tyler finding out about all her lies, about raising a baby while potentially bankrupt. I'm not saying you should back down, but you should know where her head is at. I look at Jennifer, who's clearly hearing my side of the conversation. Tell them I'll meet with them, I say to Rachel. But it's going to be on my terms, at Jennifer's office, with lawyers present, and we're recording everything. If they want mercy, they need to be ready to be completely honest for the first time in years. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more playing victim. Rachel agrees to pass along the message. After I hang up, Jennifer looks at me with something approaching approval. You're not backing down because of the pregnancy. It's a statement, not a question. My sister being pregnant doesn't change the fact that she deliberately excluded me from her wedding, took my money, and lied to everyone about who I am. I say firmly. I hope she has a healthy baby. I hope she's a great mother. But being pregnant doesn't erase accountability. Jennifer nods. Good, because if you caved now, they'd learn they can manipulate you with emotional leverage forever. The pregnancy, a sick grandparent, a job loss, there would always be something. She's right. This is about setting boundaries that should have existed all along. The meeting is scheduled for 2 days from now. Whatever happens in that room will determine whether my family and I have any future together. The conference room at Jennifer's law firm feels like a courtroom. Mom and Dad sit on one side of the long table with their lawyer, a nervous-looking guy in his 50s named Donald Pierce who keeps adjusting his tie. Emma and Tyler are there too, Emma's hand protectively over her still flat stomach, Tyler sitting slightly apart from her with an expression I can't quite read. I'm on the opposite side with Jennifer, a recording device visible in the center of the table, and a stack of documents that represent years of evidence. Jennifer starts the meeting with clinical precision. We're here to discuss settlement terms for the property dispute and financial claims related to the Cannon Beach house. Everything said here is being recorded and can be used in court if we don't reach an agreement. Let's be clear about the facts. Nicole owns the property outright. Her parents have been operating an illegal rental business from said property and keeping all proceeds. Emma owes Nicole $15,000 from a 2020 loan. The parents owe $45,000 from 2021 home repairs. Does anyone dispute these facts? The silence is deafening. Donald Pierce clears his throat. My clients acknowledge the property ownership is in Nicole's name. However, they believed it was a verbal gift given their occupation of the property for 8 years. Jennifer doesn't even blink. We have documentation proving otherwise, including annual property tax payments made solely by Nicole, insurance policies in her name, and most damningly, recordings of the family discussing the property as Nicole's investment. The verbal gift argument won't hold in any court. Mom starts crying, quiet tears that she used to weaponize when I was younger to make me feel guilty. Nicole, please. We made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but we're still your family. Emma is having a baby, your nephew or niece. Don't you want to be part of that child's life? The emotional manipulation is exactly what Jennifer predicted. Being part of my future niece or nephew's life depends entirely on whether Emma and all of you can be honest for once. I respond, my voice steady. Emma finally speaks, her voice small and shaky. I was jealous, okay? You have this amazing career, this perfect life, and I'm struggling to keep my business afloat. When I got engaged, all anyone could talk about was asking you for advice, wondering if you'd bring a date, making it about you somehow. I just wanted one day where I was the center of attention. Her honesty is surprising. but it doesn't erase what she did. So you lied to me for months? Made me think I was your maid of honor while planning to exclude me completely? I ask, keeping my emotions in check. Emma looks down at the table, unable to meet my eyes. And the rental income from my house? Was that jealousy too, or just greed? Dad shifts uncomfortably, finally speaking up. We needed the money, Nicole. Retirement isn't as comfortable as we thought it would be. When we realized the house could generate income, we took the opportunity. Without telling me, without offering to share the profits, without even thanking me for providing you with a $230,000 asset. My words cut through the room like knives. Tyler, who's been silent until now, suddenly stands up. I can't do this anymore, he says, looking at Emma. I married you 3 days ago, and I've discovered you're a completely different person than who I thought you were. You're pregnant with my child, and I don't even know if I can trust you to tell me the truth about anything. Emma's face crumbles, reaching for Tyler's hand, but he pulls away. Tyler, please. I was going to tell you everything after the honeymoon. He laughs, a bitter sound. When, Emma? After Nicole took the house? After the lawsuit started? Or were you just going to keep lying until I figured it out on my own? The crack in their marriage is visible, raw, and painful to watch. Mom tries to intervene, but Tyler holds up his hand. Mrs. Patterson, with all due respect, you enabled this. You helped your daughter lie to her sister, profited from Nicole's generosity, and now you're sitting here crying like you're the victim. Jennifer seizes the moment, pushing papers across the table. Here are the settlement terms. Nicole gets full possession of the Cannon Beach property immediately. You vacate within 14 days. You provide complete accounting of all rental income collected over 3 years, approximately $220,000. You'll repay 50% of that amount, $110,000, over 5 years with reasonable interest. Emma's $15,000 debt will be consolidated with the parental debt. The $45,000 home repair loan will be forgiven if all other terms are met. Donald Pierce reviews the papers, his expression growing more troubled with each page. My clients can't possibly pay $110,000. That's an impossible amount given their financial situation. Jennifer's response is ice cold. Then they shouldn't have collected income from property they didn't own. We're being generous. Nicole could pursue full restitution, criminal charges for tax evasion, and fraud charges against Emma. This settlement keeps them out of jail and gives them 5 years to repay. The alternative is court, where they will lose everything and possibly face incarceration. Mom's crying intensifies, but I notice it's different now. Not the manipulative tears meant to control me, but genuine fear and regret. We'll lose our house in Portland trying to pay this, Dad says quietly. We'll have to sell, downsize, maybe move to a retirement community. At our age, starting over feels impossible. There's no satisfaction in hearing this, just a hollow ache. These are my parents, the people who raised me, and I'm watching them face consequences I never wanted to impose. You should have thought about that before you turned my property into your personal cash machine, I say, but my voice lacks the earlier edge. You should have thought about it before you helped Emma lie to me, before you excluded me from every family gathering while taking my money. This isn't about revenge, it's about boundaries. I can't keep being the person you use and discard whenever it's convenient. Emma wipes her eyes, mascara running down her cheeks. What about the baby? She asks. What about your relationship with your niece or nephew? The question hangs in the air, heavy with implication. That depends entirely on you, I answer honestly. If you sign this agreement, get honest not just with me, but with Tyler and yourself, maybe we can rebuild something. But Emma, I'm not going to let you use your child as leverage to avoid accountability. That baby deserves parents who are honest and responsible. Right now, you're neither. Tyler nods slightly, the first sign of agreement I've seen from him all meeting. Jennifer adds another document to the pile. There's one more condition. You'll provide written statements to family members who you've lied to about Nicole. Cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone you told that Nicole was unstable or vindictive. You'll explain that Nicole discovered you excluded her from the wedding deliberately, that you profited from her property without her knowledge, and that the current legal situation is a direct result of your actions, not Nicole's mental state or character. Mom gasps. That's humiliating. Everyone will know what we did. Everyone should know what you did, I respond firmly. You tried to destroy my reputation to cover your own guilt. You painted me as a villain to our entire extended family. The truth needs to come out, not for revenge, but because I'm not going to live under the shadow of your lies anymore. Dad looks at Mom, then at Emma. and I see something shift in his expression. Resignation, maybe, or the first glimpse of actual understanding. "We'll do it," he says quietly. "All of it. The payments, the letters, the accountability. We'll do it." Emma looks at her father in shock. "Dad, we can't afford this." But Dad shakes his head. "We can't afford not to, Emma. Look at what we've become. Look at what we've done to your sister." Nicole is right. We used her, lied to her, excluded her, and convinced ourselves we were justified. We weren't. We were wrong, and we need to own that. His words are the first genuine acknowledgement I've heard from any of them. Mom nods slowly, her tears now mixed with something that might be shame. Donald Pierce looks uncomfortable but begins reviewing the documents with Mom and Dad, explaining each clause, each obligation they're agreeing to. Emma sits frozen, one hand still on her stomach, staring at the table. Tyler has moved even further away from her, creating physical distance that mirrors the emotional chasm opening between them. "There's one thing I need to add," Tyler says suddenly, looking at Jennifer. "I want it documented that I had no knowledge of any of these deceptions. I don't want to be held liable for Emma's debts or her family's obligations." Jennifer nods, already making notes. "We can draft a separate agreement protecting you from financial liability related to debts incurred before your marriage. You'll need your own lawyer to review it." Tyler pulls out his phone, already texting someone. "My brother's a lawyer. I'll have him look at everything before I let Emma sign anything." The crack in their marriage is now a canyon, and I realize I'm watching a relationship potentially end in real time. Emma realizes it too, turning to Tyler with panic in her eyes. "You're leaving me?" "I don't know what I'm doing," Tyler admits, his voice raw. "I married you thinking we'd build a life on honesty and partnership. Instead, I've discovered you lied about major financial obligations, excluded your sister from our wedding based on jealousy, and have been profiting from fraud for years. Emma, you're carrying my child, and I don't even know if I can trust you to tell me the truth about doctor's appointments." His words are devastating, and I almost feel sorry for Emma until I remember she brought this on herself. The meeting continues for another 2 hours, lawyers drafting and revising documents, my family slowly signing away their claims to my property and agreeing to repayment terms that will define their financial lives for the next 5 years. Mom signs with shaking hands. Dad's signature is slow and deliberate. Emma hesitates, looking at Tyler one more time before finally putting pen to paper. "This doesn't mean we're okay," I say as Jennifer collects the signed documents. "This means we have a framework to potentially rebuild trust, but that's going to take years, not days." "I understand," Mom says quietly. "Nicole, I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but I am truly sorry. I chose your sister's insecurity over your feelings, and that was wrong. I enabled behavior that hurt you deeply, and I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it." Her apology sounds genuine, more real than anything she's said in years. Dad adds, "We took your generosity for granted. We convinced ourselves that because you were successful and we were struggling, we were somehow entitled to what you'd built. We weren't. You earned everything you have, and we had no right to take advantage of that." Emma is the last to speak, tears streaming down her face. "I destroyed my marriage and my relationship with my sister because I couldn't handle feeling inferior. The baby should be the happiest news of my life, and instead I'm facing it knowing I might be alone because I couldn't be honest." She looks at Tyler, who's staring at his phone, perhaps texting his lawyer brother. "Nicole, I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that none of this was about you not being good enough. It was always about me feeling like I wasn't." 3 months pass before I hear from any of them again. The beach house is mine, fully and legally, with no disputes remaining. I've had it professionally cleaned, removed all traces of my family's 8-year occupation, and I've spent the last few weekends there alone, walking on the beach and trying to figure out who I am without the weight of their expectations and manipulations. The silence from my family has been both peaceful and lonely, a strange combination of relief and loss. Rachel calls me on a Saturday morning while I'm sitting on the deck watching the waves. "Your parents made the first payment," she says. $2,000 right on schedule, and they sent letters to the family. I got mine yesterday. I'm surprised they followed through." "What did the letter say?" Rachel reads it to me, and I can hear Mom's voice in the words, acknowledging the lies about the wedding, explaining the property situation, taking responsibility for damaging my reputation. "It's actually pretty honest," Rachel admits. "No excuses, no justifications, just facts and apologies." "How's the family taking it?" I ask, afraid of the answer. Rachel pauses. "Mixed reactions. Some people are shocked and reaching out to you. Others are still on your parents' side, saying family should forgive. Aunt Carol called me crying, apologizing for believing the lies about you being unstable. Uncle James won't talk to your parents now. Says they betrayed everything family is supposed to mean. The family fractured just like I feared it would. But at least now the fractures are based on truth instead of lies. Tyler calls me the following week, his voice hesitant. Nicole, I wanted you to know Emma and I are in couples therapy. The baby is due in 6 months and we're trying to figure out if we can make this work. I'm surprised he's telling me this. How's that going? I ask carefully. Slowly, he admits. Emma is finally being honest, really honest, about her insecurities and her behavior. It's hard to hear, but at least I know I'm seeing the real person now. Our therapist says rebuilding trust takes time. It does, I agree, thinking about my own journey over the past months. Tyler, I appreciate you updating me, but why are you calling? He's quiet for a moment. Because Emma wants to see you. She's not asking for forgiveness or to fix everything immediately. She just wants to talk, face to face, without lawyers or parents or anyone else. She says she has things she needs to say to you directly. Part of me wants to refuse, to maintain the boundaries I've worked so hard to establish. But another part, the part that remembers Emma as my little sister before jealousy poisoned everything, is curious. Tell her I'll meet her at the coffee shop near Pike Place Market next Saturday at 10 in the morning, I say finally. 1 hour, just us, and I reserve the right to leave at any time if I feel disrespected. Tyler agrees, thanking me for even considering it. After we hang up, I sit with the decision, unsure if I'm being wise or foolish. Jennifer warned me about letting my guard down too soon, but maybe this isn't about letting my guard down. It's about seeing if there's anything worth guarding in the first place. Saturday arrives cold and rainy, typical Seattle weather that matches my mood. Emma is already at the coffee shop when I arrive, sitting in a corner booth with her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. She's showing now, a small but visible bump under her sweater. When she sees me, she doesn't smile or wave, just nods slightly, acknowledging my presence. I order coffee and join her, the silence between us heavy with 3 months of unspoken words and a lifetime of complicated history. Thank you for coming, Emma says finally, her voice softer than I remember. I wasn't sure you would. I don't make it easy for her. I almost didn't. Give me a reason why I should stay. She takes a deep breath, her hand moving unconsciously to her stomach. Because I owe you the truth, the whole truth, not the version I told Tyler or the therapist or myself, the real ugly truth about why I did what I did. I settle back in my chair, waiting. I've been jealous of you since we were kids. Emma begins, staring into her tea. You were smarter, more confident, more everything. Mom and Dad never meant to, but they compared us constantly. Why can't you be more like Nicole? Why can't you get grades like your sister? When you graduated college with honors and I barely made it through, when you got your dream job and I was working retail, when you bought your own place and I was still living at home, every success you had felt like proof of my failure. Her honesty is startling, raw in a way I've never heard from her before. So when I finally found something, my design business, my relationship with Tyler, my wedding, I wanted it to be mine. Not overshadowed by your success, not compared to what you would have done better. And I convinced myself that excluding you was protecting my happiness when really it was just me being too insecure to face my own inadequacies. She looks up at me now, tears in her eyes. Nicole, you didn't do anything wrong. You just existed and I resented you for it. The rental income from the house? I ask, needing to understand that piece too. Emma's face flushes with shame. That was desperation mixed with entitlement. My business was failing, I owed you money I couldn't repay, and there was this house just sitting there. Mom and Dad suggested renting it out, and we all convinced ourselves you wouldn't mind, that you were rich enough not to notice or care. We took advantage of your trust because it was easier than admitting we needed help, that we'd failed financially despite all your support. I process her words, looking for manipulation or excuses, but finding only painful honesty. Do you understand what that did to me? I ask quietly. Being excluded from your wedding wasn't just about missing a party. It was confirmation that no matter how much I gave, how much I supported this family, I would never actually be part of it. I was useful when you needed money, but unwanted when you wanted to celebrate. Emma nods, wiping her eyes. I know, and I can't take that back. I can't undo the hurt or the lies or the damage I caused to your reputation. So what now? I ask, genuinely unsure. What are you hoping happens here, Emma? She meets my eyes directly for the first time since I sat down. I'm hoping that maybe, eventually, after a lot of time and consistent honesty, we might be able to be sisters again. Not like before, because before was broken in ways I didn't want to admit, but maybe something new, something built on truth instead of resentment and competition. And I'm hoping that when this baby is born, you might want to be their aunt, even if you can't forgive me completely. 6 months later, I'm standing in a hospital room holding my nephew, James Tyler Chen, who's 3 days old and already has Emma's nose and Tyler's dark hair. Emma watches me from the hospital bed, exhausted but peaceful in a way I haven't seen in years. Tyler is next to her, his hand in hers, their relationship still healing but stronger than it was. Mom and Dad are in the waiting room, respecting the boundaries I established. They can visit but in controlled circumstances, with honesty as the foundation. He's beautiful, I tell Emma honestly, looking down at this tiny human who carries my DNA but represents a future that's not yet defined by our family's past. Thank you for letting me meet him. Emma smiles, tired but genuine. You're his aunt, Nicole. That's not something I can take away, no matter how badly I screwed things up. I want him to know you, to grow up with an example of what strength and boundaries look like. The past 6 months haven't been easy. Mom and Dad made their payments consistently, attended the family therapy sessions I required, and slowly, painfully, began treating me like a daughter instead of a resource. Emma and Tyler's marriage survived, barely, but they're building something more honest than what they started with. I still own the beach house, still maintain clear financial boundaries, still carry scars from their betrayal. But I also learned something crucial. You can enforce boundaries and still leave room for redemption if people are willing to do the actual work. What you did to me was wrong, I tell Emma, speaking the truth we both need to hear. The lies, the exclusion, the manipulation, all of it was wrong, and I'll carry that hurt for a long time. But you're doing the work now, being honest, facing consequences, trying to be better. That doesn't erase what happened, but it means something. She nods, understanding that forgiveness isn't instant. It's earned through consistent action over time. Baby James makes a small sound, and I'm reminded that some things are bigger than old wounds. As I leave the hospital, I think about the person I was a year ago, desperate for family approval, willing to sacrifice my own well-being to maintain relationships that were fundamentally broken. I'm different now, harder in some ways, but also clearer about my worth. My family will never take advantage of me again. Not because I'm cruel, but because I finally understand that love without boundaries isn't really love. It's exploitation dressed up in familiar faces. The beach house in Cannon Beach is mine, and I spend weekends there finding peace in the sound of waves and the space to be myself without the weight of others' expectations. Rachel visits often, a reminder that family is sometimes the one you choose, not the one you're born into. Jennifer remains my lawyer and, surprisingly, a friend who saw me through the worst battle of my life. And Emma, Tyler, and baby James represent a possibility. Not a guarantee, but a chance that broken things can be repaired if everyone is willing to acknowledge the damage and do better. Your family should lift you up, not tear you down to make themselves feel better. They should celebrate your success, not resent it. And if they can't do those things, you have every right to protect yourself, even if that protection looks like lawsuits and boundaries and distance that feels permanent. I spent years being the person everyone leaned on, only to discover they'd push me aside the moment I stopped being useful. That's not family, that's exploitation. If you're in a situation where people take advantage of your generosity, where your success makes them uncomfortable instead of proud, where they lie to protect their own insecurities, I'm telling you right now, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to demand accountability. It's okay to say enough and mean it. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your money, or your heart just because you share DNA. Boundaries aren't cruel, they're essential for survival. So let me ask you, have you ever been betrayed by someone you loved? Have you ever had to choose between being right and keeping the peace? Drop your story in the comments below, because you're not alone in this. And if this story resonated with you, if you felt every moment of anger and hurt and eventual peace I went through, smash that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And subscribe to this channel, because there are more stories like mine. Stories of people who found their strength when they stopped letting others define their worth. You deserve better than people who only love you when you're useful. Remember that.